Any conclusions that I draw in this video should not be generalized or taken in any way as medical advice, because I'm not that kind of doctor. Creatine, that miraculous white powder, possibly one of the most well-studied supplementations in terms of muscle performance enhancement, as well as cognitive performance during sleep deprivation, and general cognitive performance. For some reason, it took me quite a while to start trying this out for myself. And when I did, I ended up taking it very slowly. So oftentimes people start with maybe a few grams or even start trying to saturate their muscles as quickly as possible with something like 8 grams. But when I began my creatine experiment, which started here, I actually only started with around 500 grams and then consistently stuck to that amount for many months. Now, part of the reason for this is that subjectively, I immediately felt very wired the moment that I took creatine. So I kind of wanted to just see what would happen with that low dosage. Now, at the same time, I was also recording daily a subjective measure of how well I felt, just based on a score from 1 to 10. And that combined score is shown here as the red line. One thing that's important to keep in mind is that this score on a daily basis is actually very noisy, and so I've actually applied a smoothing window of 3 months. And so if creatine has an impact, it should appear as far back as a month and a half before my start date. And as you can see here, you actually do start to see an increase in my subjective evaluation before I started taking creatine. Now, if you don't like the subjective evaluation, because of course it's not exactly an unbiased metric for the impact of creatine, I also track my running speed, which I've also averaged over 3 months. And as you can see within that first window of 3 months, I'm already getting a significant increase, and then it sort of gradually continues to increase throughout the duration that I was taking these 500 milligrams. Another thing to keep in mind is that on the left axis here, I've scaled these various metrics between 0 and 1, so that 0 doesn't necessarily correspond to actual 0 values, and 1 just corresponds to the maximum value within the total range. I've done this so that I can plot these various metrics on the same plot without the scale being crazy. So now this is where things get kind of interesting, because apart from these various metrics I've already mentioned, I also wear a Fitbit, which allows me to measure various other things, including my sleep quality. And watch what happens. So while I saw an initial increase in my average sleep score during this time, I saw a significant decrease in my sleep score within 5 months of taking creatine. Now, this doesn't terribly surprise me because when I first started taking the supplement, I actually had a very hard time falling asleep. Now, while this also looks kind of dramatic, this actually corresponds to a sleep score of around 78. And the top is actually only an 83.5 average sleep score. So that full range from the peak to that trough really isn't a huge dip, but is large enough to be significant. Now again, if you don't necessarily trust the sleep score because it is somewhat mysterious, the expression for how it's computed and what it's based on and the accuracy of those measurements aren't published, and so it's difficult to evaluate the accuracy. However, I also track my dream recall and apply a quantitative score every morning based on how well I can remember my dreams from the night before. And this showed a very similar pattern in terms of its reaction to creatine, with an initial increase and then a decrease after around 5 months. So what's interesting about this is that over all time, the sleep score and my dream recall actually seem to follow each other, but are shifted by about a month and a half, which makes sense because as the quality of sleep decreases, my dream recall should also decrease. The lag of a month and a half, of course, is a bit mysterious, but otherwise you can see that the two curves correspond to each other fairly well. It's of course difficult to draw any hard conclusions about the actual impact that creatine has been having on these various metrics. All of this could have just been coincidental, although it certainly feels impactful. So if I really want to be a good scientist, I should repeat the experiment by gradually increasing my creatine intake, and then see if I see similar signals again over the following next 6 months. So that's what I've done here, and now I'm patiently waiting as the data comes in to see what would happen. or not. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe because it does help. And I'll see you all in the next video.